Hey everyone. So today we are going to be discussing one of the most viral topics, that's Metaverse. And we'll dive deep into what's Web 1, what's Web 2, what's Web 3, and what is going on around. So Amit, let's start with what is Web? How did it start? And let's talk about Web 1.
Yeah, I only want to talk about Web 1 and Web 2 because everyone's talking about Web 3, right? So why is it becoming number 3? What is the Web 1 and Web 2, right? And in fact, what is the web and why is it different from the internet? We want to draw a distinction between the web and the internet because regardless of Web 1, Web 2, now Web 3, tomorrow Web 4, then Web 25, we're using the same internet to connect to these whatever platforms we talk about. So within the web, which is an HTTP universe, there are various business models and technologies used. And the first business model was raw aggregation. It's the eBays and the Amazons of the world were formed, the biggest and the oldest, two-sided marketplaces, effectively, in various verticals, right? And then Web 2 came along, which was essentially Web 1, with the key difference being that they talked about the gig economy and the sharing economy and all these things. So it became social in a sense that people could share, social media and they could create communities in some sense. And really the, publishing first model happened, with so the Facebooks and the other sort of media, social media platforms, if you will, came about. That's Web 2 and all the gig economy platforms more recently, perhaps in the last 5-10 years, right? Like Uber and Airbnb and so many others. So that's Web 2, right? And it's creating centralized networks that aggregate in the same way as Web 1 aggregates, but sort of in a more a social manner in the sense that the networks extend to regular people in various ways, like Uber and Airbnb are examples of that. DoorDash is an example of that, right? Regular people can get involved in that business, whether you're driving or you're, a host or Airbnb or whatever it is. So that's Web 2. Now, Web 3 people say that, Web 2 people are extractive and they take too much and not enough is given to the people who do the work. So Web 3 says we'll create transparent platforms using blockchain, which is a trustless thing, and So that's the progression. But of course, Web 3 requires the use of blockchain and requires the use of crypto and requires a whole new technology stack, which is definitely useful and very important, and will be a big piece of the foundation of the internet businesses going forward. But the only recognition that we have is that it is at the web layer and is changing today, will change tomorrow, all of these things. What hasn't changed is a couple of things. The first is the very notion of the business. This hasn't changed. What is a business hasn't changed, right? You still have to make money. You still have to have profit. You still have to have a P&L. You still have to do all those standard things which we have discussed. And the second thing that hasn't changed is the internet. You use the same internet that you used to have 20 years ago and 10 years ago, and what you have now. Maybe it's faster, but it's the same basic, open connection to TCP IP that you talk about. So, HTTP sitting at the application layer has always been the same. Today, you point HTTP URLs to Web 1 or Web 2 or Web 3 companies. They're all HTTP URLs. So the internet is still the same. You're still pointing to URLs to each other. You're still, even inside let's say an NFT, it's pointing to a URL of some kind, resource that it points to. So the internet hasn't changed. What has changed is the packaging of the data packets and the people and all those things which we call various businesses. So should we think that technology drives business, or should we think that business drives technology?
That's an interesting
So if you're always clear about this point, that it's always the business first, in the sense that I mean, technology for technology's sake has no meaning, even though it might be tomorrow and all the things. That tomorrow is only when the right businesses take advantage of it. Right?
Exactly.
The right business models come about instead of that. So ultimately, it's business first. So, and ultimately, what is a business is already known. It's the profit protocol.
Yeah.
So you can't do anything new here. Web 1, Web 2, Web 3, Web 4, Web 10 are just technological changes. Now, the business model that changes along with it could change regardless of the technology. Right?
Yeah. For that, it doesn't.
So there are two different things.
There's a massive change. Yeah.
Right. So this is as simple as that. And it's just a whole constructed universe that people have, started talking about. It's just another whole thing. But, ultimately, as they say, nothing changes and everything repeats. Right?
Yeah, the entire process will repeat. Yeah.
So it's a whole process of repetition, which, you can see happening now, and what is to be learned and leveraged is the process of change and the process of transformation. And if you're plugged into the actual business, then Web 1, Web 2, Web 3 doesn't matter. It's a meta web universe because I have to be everywhere my customers are. As a business, I have to be on all platforms. I have to be on Facebook, I have to be on Amazon, I have to be on eBay and Etsy and Ethereum and, inside
whatever.
Bitcoin universe, right? Because I mean, that's what my customers are doing and talking about. So obviously I got to be there. So I have to be meta web, not meta company, because that's just one platform. I have to be meta.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I mean, that's what you got to be, and that's not a complicated thing. All you need to know is what that means. The words. It just means that don't worry about the tech. Just connect your business people and your processes in a way that drives the value transformation, and that's a simple functional process, a mechanical process that can be assembled because people are the ones that do things.
Yeah,
it isn't.
That's what I was coming up to. And people are the ones who will do the exact thing. So as we say that if we are empowering people to become co-sellers or become independent, it's the people that we are focusing on. It's the people that we are talking about. We're not talking about technology. Okay, Web 3 or blockchain or whatever. We include crypto as well, but that's just means of making things happen. But the actual people, it's the people who will make the change happen, who will make the transaction happen.
The people are the only points of intelligence. Everything else is artificial intelligence. It's not real. It's artificial.
Exactly.
It's a machine just running some numbers, doesn't know what it is doing. You see, the self-awareness is not there in the computer. It doesn't know what it is doing. It just has no clue. It might appear to be smart, but that's because the human intelligence is conveying some delight in seeing some words being printed as if it's really talking to you. But if you see clearly, there's nobody there. You don't have to feel so amazed. It's just a machine.
Yeah.
It's just processing data and dumping it out. It has no idea what it's doing. So it is only human beings that need to be empowered with these tools that are not self-aware. To get enamored with the tools is a foolish idea. So to say, oh, Web3 and the Bitcoin and all these things is a silly thing. These things come and go, and they will continue to come and go. What has not changed is the human behavior and human need for connectivity and business and value and all the other things we discussed.
It might be looked at from a perspective that with every change, let's say this is a mechanical system, and with every change, the efficiency of the mechanical system might increase, but it's the actual people who are driving the entire thing that remains the same.
Correct. And if you see exactly what increases productivity, which is what you brought up, it is the measure of any civilization or society, the productivity, right? What exactly is it that increases productivity is the removal of friction from what has to happen or what can be done, right? The friction is what creates the problem in getting things done anywhere. The friction, whatever that means, friction of law, friction of, being legally compliant, friction of, taking cost, the payment cost, and then friction of deploying the technology, and the friction of, blah, blah, blah. So you keep on removing friction, then you keep on getting more and more and more productive.
Yeah.
And what is the most friction-free process in the universe? Is people directly working with each other without anything in the middle.
Yeah, that's the most direct, most efficient way to work. Like you directly work with another
what is
person.
It that has a problem with people working together is the human mind is only capable of so much, right? It's attention, we are the attention. It moves around. It's now there's like so much attention deficit disorder in people. So what exactly should a computer do? Do the mechanical process of computation, which is just keeping track of all the nonsense that you need to keep track of. And then in the moment, whatever has to happen, it is able to provide you that information and decision making and all. And then it makes a decision for you because now your intelligence is infused into its workings, right? This is called human in the loop AI. We are cognitive assistant building frameworks for every human being. That intelligence, it's the platform. There's no question there. It is a way to tap into human consciousness. This is the way. I mean, by connecting everybody into a single network and enabling them to be free, not to control them, not to extract from them. The minute you let things free, only creativity can happen, Otherwise, creativity can never happen. Creativity happens when there is no friction. Only when there's no friction. If you're always thinking about something else, it can never happen. It only happens when you're not thinking. So the friction is of thought. You have to figure it out, right? How do I do it? How do I do it? And what will happen? And how will it work? And this and that and thousand things. You can never come up with anything creative. But when all the basic mechanical aspects of business are taken away, which is, hey, I need to buy and sell and connect and refer and share profits and be transparent and have a ledger and transfers and money and catalog and all mechanical stuff. Why is it so complicated in this day and age? So that's all. We have to be able to quickly build systems that allow human creativity to be friction-free.
Yeah.
Which is called creator economy or the knowledge economy, or the internet economy, which is exactly this. All human beings connected in a single network of networks where they're able to function to their best potential, converting their own potential value into kinetic value that moves around the world and energizes everything.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, all that energy will be sort of dissipated or sort of will be lost doing all these nitty-gritty, got stuck in the process, doing this, doing that. Then
what is worse is most people don't even start because they think about all these things and they don't start because they can't even imagine, oh my God, how will I do all these things?
Yeah, that actually happens.
So 90% people don't start at all. They don't even think about doing anything themselves because it's too many things. They can't imagine themselves solving all these problems and getting past that very first line, right? And then the few people that do start struggle through all of these. And then the few that do get through, then they struggle through all the other problems. And then the final ones, they succeed. But it doesn't stop because the urge to create is so strong that it cannot be stopped. So to empower unbridled creativity is the engine for the ultimate growth.
Exactly. Yeah. Well put. Yeah, that's true.
So that's what we've sort of embraced, and that's the thesis of Awake VC, Awakened Value Co-Creation. It isn't a venture capital firm because money is just an aspect of value co-creation.
Yeah.
Money isn't real. What's real is value.
Yeah.
Which is tangible and specific and can be denominated in any currency.
Yeah.
Right? And where money comes in is the currency and the tracking and the transfers and stuff like that. It doesn't create value. It can only track value.
Yeah. Wow, that was such an amazing perspective or a highlight on what everybody is talking around about Web3 or Metaverse, and it gives a way more deeper clarity, a way more deeper perspective on how to look at things and how to look at business. So because the root or the core of it is business. And thanks, Sumit, so much for putting it so elegantly for everybody, whoever is listening. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Cool.